Hello, wonderful person. Welcome back. My name is Adam, and we're doing another live dive on the Great Barrier Reef. So, first of all, I had quite a few people ask me for a more in-depth tutorial, and so that's what we're going to do today. We're going to go for about a half an hour dive, and I'm going to tell you all about the little tips and tricks that I'm using when controlling the robot. So, let's get started. So the first thing we want to do is go to the website, which is teleport.fish. Nice and easy. And once it loads up, the first thing we're going to do is log in. And if it's our first time logging in, we'll have to verify our email address as well. So just hit the sign in button up the top here. If you've been here before, it'll come up with your details just like I have there, and then click login. If it's your first time, just use the sign up button there and type in your details, and don't forget to verify your email. Okay, so logging in, and then after we've logged in, we can first check out the robots that are available. Currently we have a robot on the Great Barrier Reef, and we have a training simulation as well. We can hit live stream, and we can have a look at what's going on with the robot right now. So it's sitting on the reef, got a few bubbles on the screen, but there's a live view of the robot, and that's what we're going to be controlling today. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is over to pricing. We need to buy some credits. These robots aren't cheap, and they also cost a bit to run as well, with the mobile signal and also maintenance. So click a package that suits your budget. The more credits you buy, the more robots we can get online. So please buy credits. So choose your package. Maybe the gamer package is for you. And once you click that, it'll ask for all your credit card information. Hit pay, and away you go. Easy as that. Okay. But of course, I've already got some credits already ready. So we're going to head straight over to the robots. And if it's your first time, definitely try the training simulation first. Just get used to the controls. So when you're doing the real deal, you're going to have a lot more control over the robot. But for today, we're going to head straight on into it. So we're going to click Control Robot, and then let's go. So it's going to take about 45 seconds to load up the server in Sydney that connects to the robot. While we're waiting, we can check the conditions that we're about to head into. So the robot is at Arlington Reef at the moment, and so I can check the tides. Looks like we're at the bottom of the tide at the moment. So less tidal movement, the water's going to be a bit clearer. So on the bottom or the top, the water's going to be clearer. In the middle, there's going to be a lot of water running, which means there's probably going to be a lot of fish, but it's going to be not as clear. And we can check the weather as well on Arlington Reef there, just off Cairns. Not ideal conditions. It's blowing 15 to 20 knots, or 20 to 25 actually, and looks that way for most of the week. But the robot doesn't care, of course, because it is underwater. All right, so the robot has loaded here. And so what I'm going to do is just click arm the robot. And I'm going to take note of which direction I'm heading. I'm currently heading in a westerly direction. So if we just go to the map here, the map shows where we are, where the support boat is, I should say. I'll just zoom out a little bit there. And so we're in a westerly direction. So west is this way, to the left-hand side of the screen. So we are 100 meters from there over in this direction. So we're just sitting on top of the reef here. So it gives us a bit of an idea of where we want to go. We definitely want to go east so we get more tether. And we want to stick around the reef here and not end up in the sand over here. So as a general rule, if you're looking west when you start, you want to head the opposite direction. So that's what we're going to do today. All right, let's get started. So the first thing we want to do, we want to get all those bubbles off the screen. So the easiest way to do that is just turn a little bit to the right, a little bit to the left, and most of them come away. And then as we descend, it's going to get better as well. Before we descend, we want to tilt the camera down so we can see the bottom. There we are. And we also want to turn in the direction we want to travel. So as I said, we want to go east, we want to go 180 degrees, and you'll quickly see actually that your tether's in that direction. So you always want to head in the direction of your tether so you've got lots of room and it's not stopping you from going where you want to go. Alright, so tilt the camera down and press S to go down, and we're going to head down to the bottom here. So I'm checking out my sonar and depth in the top right hand of the screen. The sonar tells me how much distance I have to go to the reef, how much is the distance in front of me basically and below me, and then the depth is how far I am from the surface, and that's using a pressure sensor. The sonar is obviously using acoustic sonar. Alrighty, so I like to head down to about 1.5 on the sonar. That's about a good distance to travel around on. If you get below a meter, you're going to enter the obstacle avoidance, and we'll go through that in a little bit anyway. But we'll head off in this direction. As said, keeping an eye on the compass there. I want to head sort of in an easterly direction, so we get lots of tether, and we've got some beautiful coral reef here to look at the same time, which is nice. Lots of fishies out today. So once you head in an easterly direction for a little while, and you've definitely got lots of tether now, and you can go wherever you want, one of my favorite things to do is actually just work out which direction the current is going. So I just stop and I'm just looking at where we're drifting. So we seem to be drifting this way. So I'm going to turn until I'm facing the direction that we're drifting, which seems to be this direction, which normally would be the direction that you start off in because of the current. And what this means, once I've found this direction, is I can actually just let the robot float along. And it makes it very easy to control, because you're just adding little inputs here and there, but you're really letting the current drift you along. And also, you generally have a better time with the fish because you're just sort of floating past them. So I'm just strafing left at the moment, just to get to the edge of the reef here, to show you kind of the best technique in my opinion. So just going to go down a little bit here and point in the direction that we're going to drift, which is this way, and we're just going to drift along. And there we go, we got some beautiful fishies. We've got the yellow fish is a butterfly fish, the blue fish there is a little damsel. You can see the idea. And you can just drift along like this until you run out of tether. And it's generally the best experience. It's nice and easy, and all I'm doing here is constantly adjusting my depth. So I'm keeping an eye on the sonar and the depth, and when I float up a little bit too far away from the reef, I'm just pushing down for a second and then taking my finger off. It's always best when you're controlling the robot just to do one input at a time, and to just hold the key for a second or two, however long you think you need, and then let go of it, and you'll see the effect on the robot. Obviously there's a slight delay with the communication, and there's also a delay with the robot actually moving as well. And here we are, just drifting along. Nice little spaghetti coral there. We've got some staghorn coral, which is this branching one right here. All really, really beautiful. Now it is on a 4G signal out on the reef, and so the signal can vary. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. If you find the videos very chunky and you're not enjoying yourself, just end your session, try again. Sometimes lunchtime, locally time there, you have a lot of tourist boats out there, and at lunchtime everyone jumps on Facebook and Instagram and posts their pictures, and they can steal a little bit of the internet. So sometimes sometimes it's a little bit dodgy, sometimes it's awesome. Nighttime is always amazing, and I should be doing a night dive for the next video, so please subscribe and you'll definitely get to see that video, because the night dives are amazing. Alright, so let's show a few more things that we can do. I think the next one to show would be the obstacle avoidance. So we're just going to go over to a patch over here that's a bit rubbly, doesn't have too much coral, just in case it doesn't go right. The obstacle avoidance is based on the sonar, and so when you get too close to the reef, it will disengage the robot. So here we are, 1.3 meters or so, 1.2, and if we just go down a little bit further, we're going to hit the warning signal. So there you see warning sonar. So that means that we're getting very close to it activating, and so we should go up. So anytime you see the sonar go warning, change color, you should just press up and get a little bit further away. Alrighty, so there's our warning, 92, 91, that sort of stuff. So we press up and away we go. We don't have to activate it. Now, I think what I'll do is I'll head down to the sand and I'll show a full activation of it. I don't want to do it in the coral, just in case it, sometimes it can see through the coral and it doesn't get an accurate reading, and so it works 95% of the time, but sometimes you can still get a little bit too close. So I think if I'm going to show you guys, it's probably best to go down onto the sand down here, and I can show you a little bit clearer. Okay, so as you're cruising along, there we go, a little bit further down. Okay, so 1.4 is our sonar, 1.3, nearly there on the sand. There we go, there's some sand. Okay. So just want to show you what's going to happen if you get a little bit too close. So I'll go down a little bit. There we are. This robot has been tuned that you can get fairly close so you can have a good experience, but it should kick in at 0.8. So just a tiny little bit more, a few more centimeters down, and we're going to hit 0.8 meters on the sonar reading. There we go. Proximity alarm, and the vehicle is disengaged. So now it's just going to float up to the surface to get away from danger. At any stage, once the sonar is out of the proximity and above 0.8 meters, you can just hit any button and recontrol the robot, and away you go. So it's going to happen sometimes. You're going to get a little bit too close to the reef. It's going to disarm itself, and just wait a second or two for it to float up, and then hit any key and away you go again. It's really as simple as that. Okay. So let's see where we are. Get a little bit of sort of understanding of our environment, where we are. Sometimes one of the best things you can do is point the camera up and spin in a circle and find out where your tether is. So my tether is heading in a northerly direction at the moment. So if I want more tether, that's the direction I need to go. All right, well let's go have a look at some pretty coral. Let's do that. Okay. So this is the edge of the reef here. I'm about 7 meters. Great little trick when you're on the edge here. And this is more for advanced users, but definitely something to kind of get a bit of an idea. What you do is you look to your left or your right, make sure it's nice and clear, there's nothing there, okay, there's nothing there. And then I can look at the reef and I can hold the left arrow, and that's called strafing, which is basically just moving the robot sideways. And I can kind of look at the reef while I go along the edge of the reef as well. And looks like we've just frozen, and the YouTube stream's gone down, no connection to the robot. So I've had some 4G error. Something's gone wrong and I've lost connection to the robot, which can happen. It does happen. And the 4G in Australia is not perfect. So what do I do in this circumstance when something's gone wrong? Well, very, very easy. The robot automatically disarms itself, and it is slowly floating up to the surface because I do have data coming from that. I've just lost the vision. But the thing you do, if anything goes wrong like this, the robot's going to be safe, it's going to float up to the surface. All I need to do for myself is just hit end session. And that way I'm going to avoid using extra credits because I can't control the robot. And I'm just going to check back in half an hour, have a look at the live stream, and if the live stream's working, I'll log back in and have another go. So let's end this session. And we'll check back in half an hour. Okay, and we're back. So the robot detected that there was a problem with the 4G feed and it's just reset itself. It's taken about 10 minutes. And so I've just started a new session and we're back on the surface here. So let's get back down there. So first of all, we're in a westerly direction, and if we just spin around 180 degrees, we'll check out our tether. So just arm the robot, and let's turn around 180 degrees, which should be about east. There we go, there's our tether. And tilt our camera down so we can see where we're descending to, and then hold down the S key to descend. Keeping a close eye on all our telemetry on the top right hand side of the screen, the sonar and the depth. We want to make sure that we stop descending once we get to about 1.5 meters. We don't want to go down further than that. Oop. Alrighty, and away we go. So I'm just going to tilt the camera up a little bit so I can see. And we're going to go off the side of the reef here and see what we can find. Definitely a bit of current today. Lots of whip corals. Let's head over in this direction. So I'm choosing a direction I want to go in and then holding forward. And when you're holding forward, generally it won't float up very much. But when you stop, it will start to float up. And that's just a safety feature to make sure it's always going to clear itself from the reef if you lose control or lose contact with it. Very, very cool. Alrighty. Where do we want to go? That looks pretty fun over there. That looks pretty fun over there as well. I think we'll go on top because it's a bit of a cloudy day today. So the deeper we are, the harder it is to see. Although we can actually do something about that. This particular robot has 4 lights on it. And so what I can do is I can turn the lights on by tapping T a few times. And now I've got 8,000 of lumens of color. And so it's going to just, oh, a little bit too close. It's going to show me a little bit more color down here with the lights on. At night, it'll really show up. At night, you'll be able to see all the rich colors of the reef with those lights. During the day, not so much, but just good to know that you can turn the lights on and off with T to turn them on and G to turn them off, and they're in brightness steps, so you have to tap it from memory 6 times to get full brightness, and so you can kind of adjust how much brightness you've got. Alrighty, let's head up here a little bit higher into the shallower water and check out maybe these little fish over here. There we go. If you're struggling to work out where the current is coming from, look which direction the fish are pointing. The fish are almost always pointing into the current. So it looks like the tide has turned and we've got an incoming tide coming from, seems to be kind of a northeasterly direction, I think. Yeah. Very cool. Lots of cool fishies here. I'll just hang here for a second. Just let the current drift me around, really, and show me what's around. Alright, we'll just head off in this direction for a little bit further. I'll see if I can impart any more tips and tricks, and then we'll end this stream. It's very addicting. I find myself getting lost down here for hours at a time, just because there's always something really interesting, around the corner. Whenever you look around the corner, there's something different, something else that you haven't seen before. Especially at night, I'm finding a lot of creatures at night that I've never seen before, just because they're nocturnal and they only come out at night. So if you haven't tried a night dive already, I highly recommend it. It has different animals, which is really cool. But the other thing is, I get a lot of people say, oh, the colours aren't as bright as the photos of the Great Barrier Reef, and that's because photos are taken with a whole lot of light, big flashes, and it's artificial. It's not what you actually see. This is, if you were snorkeling on the reef right now, this is what you would see. But at night, because everything is illuminated by your big giant lights, everything will be very, very vivid and brightly coloured. So if you like your bright colours for your reef experience, then the night dive's the way to go. So when you find something really pretty as well that you like, you can also take a photograph of it, and you can find that in the gallery after you've finished. So say this little piece of coral here, I want to take a picture of it. I just kind of stop in front of it, and then I push the C button for camera, and it takes a picture. And I can check that out on the gallery later on, and I can download it and post it to my social media if I like, and show my friends what I found on my dive. Okay, well, I think I might end it there, because I could just drive around in circles with this thing all day, but I'm not imparting any more knowledge to you for the tutorial, so we'll probably leave it just there. Okay, so the end of you go. Best to have a little look around. Just make sure you're going to float up to the surface if you're a good, considerate user. I like to put the camera up, tilt the camera up, and just kind of spin around and make sure that I'm just floating to the surface and nothing's going to get in the way. And then once I'm at the surface, which is around about now, there we are, I'm going to disarm the robot, and I'm going to hit end session. Now, if I had any problems, just like with the 4G signal cutting out on me, I'll hit submit feedback, and I'll just let the admins know that happened, and so they can have a look in there, see if there's any issue that we can fix, and make sure that it doesn't happen again, so your experience gets better and better every time. So please submit feedback if anything goes awry. And also, just if you had a great time, just hit submit feedback and let us know. And of course, if you took any photos, you can view them at the gallery as well. So you head over to the gallery, and it will load up all the pictures that have been taken in the last few days, and your picture will be the most recent one, which is right there. And we can click on that. There's a picture from the control software, and I can just save image as and save it to my hard drive, and then I can post it online. Now the robot will take 10 minutes to fully reset itself, and so in 10 minutes time, if I want to have another go, maybe I was having a great time and I want to get back in there, it'll be ready to go in about 10 minutes once it's done. And also down the bottom here as well is your local time. So that's the time where the robot is, and it's the tropics. So sunrise is about 6, sunset's about 6 as well. It doesn't change too much during the year. And you can get an idea of whether you're going for a night dive or a daytime dive but probably the easiest way is just check out that live stream. Have a look what's going on. If it's like this, it's the daytime. If it's totally black and you can't see anything, then that's nighttime. The robot doesn't have any lights on when no one's using it to avoid attracting too many fish and having an environmental impact, basically. And so if it's totally black, it's still available to use. You can still use it, it's just nighttime. Once you log in and turn on your lights, then you'll be able to see everything. So there you go. There's the live dive for today. I hope that that you got some good tips and tricks out of it, and hopefully it'll improve your diving with the robot in the future. Of course, if you'd like to support us here at Teleportal, please buy some credits, and of course you can also join our Patreon as well and get free credits every month, and that just enables us to know that we've got a steady paycheck coming in and we can buy some more robots. All right, thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed it, and see you next time.